Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Getting Creative With, the show where AADL staff engage with an arbitrarily chosen topic to stay playful, stay inspired, and creative. My name is Ksenia, and with me today are AADL staff members Amanda, Heidi, Christopher, and Aurora. Hey guys. And this week's theme was blocks. So I found it kind of ironic that the word block, implies a hindrance or, as in a creative block or an obstruction, because I had a hard time choosing what project to actually make out of all the ideas I had. So I ended up doing two. So Amanda, how'd you fare?
So I was excited to sign up for this topic. I saw it on the list and grabbed it because I knew immediately what I wanted to do. When I saw blocks, I thought bricks and I thought Legos. And I knew I wanted to do some printing with Legos. And my original idea was and I have a big box of Legos. My original idea was to get some Legos and then tie string around it and then do some like abstract printing with different kinds of ink with the string around the Legos. And then when I went to do this project, I thought, wait a minute, blocks. You instantly went to like Lego bricks. Is there some other form of like block you want to do instead of using this? And I thought for like half a second and I said, no, I want to do Lego still. So when I actually sat down, or didn't sit down, I set up my table, got all my inks out. I have a little bit of acrylic ink at home, but as a printmaker, I have more screen printing ink and a few different kinds of block printing ink. And I chose to go with just the water-based block printing ink because it's nice and thick and tacky and it's good for printing. So I got my inks out and my Legos, and this is what I came up with. It's just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It's cardstock, and these are all printed with different Legos. The circles, the different shapes, like you can see this is the typical 2x4. And some of them, you can actually see the word Lego backwards in some of the bricks the way it printed. These circles some of them are like what I call little umbrella toppers. Some are wheels. The yellow ones are like wheels I rolled through. And what I ended up doing was I ended up using a paintbrush and just painting on the bottom of the Legos a lot. And then for some of them, I did end up putting it in the ink and then on the paper repeatedly, but I kind of re-inked for most of them. But then I decided I wanted to do some that were like a little bit varied with like a lighter and a darker. So I went with white paper because I wanted to use these colors. So there you are, printing with Legos. And I was pretty excited to do this. And right now the Legos are still soaking to get all the ink off of them. But yeah, so that's what I came up with, printing with Legos as blocks.
That's so cool.
It's really cool, Amanda.
Thanks.
It actually reminds me of really early Soviet poster prints.
Totally.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, I don't know. I really like the red, the long bricks where you can actually see the word Lego backwards. And then,
Cool.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. Thanks.
It's really exciting to look at. I really want to put that like kind of printing on like a dress or something.
Yeah, it's just really subtle. It's just like a pattern,
Yeah, all those different patterns. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And I was gonna do something more like symmetrical, and I had the square shapes on the corners. Then once I did all the bigger shapes first, and then the last ones were like circles. Actually, there's a couple different kinds of circles, and then these ones and these little black circles. So yeah, just kind of just like a print. It kind of reminds me of something like map like directional. I don't know. It's abstract. Yeah. Who knows?
The design also remind me like the embroidery that you could use the patterns for, kind of like into
Directional. It is really, really cool. Did you find the ink stayed on the Legos okay, given that they were plastic?
Yeah, water-based block printing ink. I just use Speedball brand. It's pretty thick and straight for block printing because some inks don't land on like traditional block printing like lino or the soft blocks. Mm-hmm. And I've printed with other pieces of plastic, and I knew it would be a good like thick because it's thicker for printmaking. And I used a paintbrush, so I was able to put on a lot. And some of it is pretty thick and goopy versus others. I did some little testing here and there to kind of get the consistency or the thickness of ink on the block each time.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And you just stamped them, pressed them. You didn't have to do anything else to them at all?
No, I dipped them in the ink or I brushed the ink on, but I didn't do anything else to them, no.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I will request a scarf in that pattern if that's okay.
It's a lot of tiny printing.
Yeah, that's adorable. It's like printing. Cool. Thank you for that. It actually reminded me a bit of like a bird's eye view of a city or something like that, like a map. Yeah, totally map-like. Huh. Okay. So for this week's theme, blocks. As I mentioned, I had the opposite of a creative block, and I wanted to do a couple of things. Partly because yes, there are lots of ideas floating around in my head around the shape of blocks, and partly because I thought one of them might not work very well. So I wanted to provide a little bit of insurance for myself. So I am, in my opinion, very inattentive to really precise kind of tasks like origami, where I'm like, I need to do something really, really crisp and precise and all that. So I was like, okay, well, this is a good opportunity for me to practice that craft. So I made some origami blocks.
Oh.
I was so thrilled with this because it's like the most complicated thing I've ever made out of paper. Apart from like quilling, but quilling's, you know, more organic. So I was just beside myself, happy with the fact that I could make little crisp lines-ish.
Mm-hmm.
That was super fun. And they're made out of 6 different pieces of paper that I had to fold beforehand. And I assembled and tucked the corners of the paper in. And it magically came to appear as a cube. And yeah, I love the color. I love how I was able to trust the process of someone's tutorial, and it came out looking pretty great.
Those are fantastic.
They're so happy. They just make me really happy when I look at them. So
Just, it'd be neat to have like many of them just like stacked up, or if you had like little ones, they could like stack them, and they're so light. Those are awesome. I love it.
they're so cute. I want to cover them in Mod Podge for posterity.
Are they like cardstock paper you use, or just regular construction color paper you use?
It's a heavier weight printer paper. So something that you would use for like a little flyer. I don't remember what the poundage of it is, but just a little bit regular 8x11 pieces of paper. It's just a bit heavier. Really cool.
So did you have to cut the paper yourself to start with squares or not?
Yeah, and all I had to do was, you know, fold over the paper on a diagonal and create 2 parallel lines in order to create a square. So that wasn't too bad. That's kind of all I had on hand. I would love to be a collector of beautiful paper, like origami paper, but it's just, I don't know. It's not in the cards for me, I think, to be an origami master. But this was really satisfying.
Well, plus too, with making a box, you want it to be a little sturdier, and origami paper is so fine.
Yeah.
I can also, I guess the thicker paper would be harder to get those accurate folds on it.
Yeah, true. And honestly, I was just like giddy that I could put them together. But yeah, it was a bit of lateral thinking for me. And then the project I did after that actually was something I've been wanting to do for a while, but haven't. So this is the opportune time for me to experiment. So I took some plastic bottle caps and some plastic bags, and I melted them down and poured them or stuffed them into a wooden mold that my husband made for me and pressed them. So this is my little bottle cap block. It ended up being a lot thinner, so it's not really a block. It's kind of a sheet, but I think it's really beautiful. And it's durable, and it's not pliable, it's hydrophobic. So this was really cool for me to work with. When I did the plastic bags, I used a heat gun, whereas for the bottles, I used an oven. So for the plastic bags, I made a block like this, just kept on piling them on top of one another.
Wow.
And melting them down as I went along. And again, super sturdy. Like you could actually work this a little bit like wood. With the carving and the lathing and everything, so it cuts really well. And what I have here is the mold that my husband made for me, and you know, this is a hot off the presses sort of block. I literally just made one this afternoon too. So I'll be doing a reveal for one of these guys. And again, this is with plastic bags. I just put it on a heat safe tray with some parchment paper and pointed a heat gun at it. So what a glue gun is to crafters, maybe a heat gun is to my stuff. And I wonder if I'll actually be able to like undo it. It'd be fun if I wasn't. Aha. So the plastic I found compressed as I pressed it and tightened the clamps. But ooh, speaking of hot off the press, it's still kind of warm, but there it is. A little brick, a little block. So I'm just thrilled that I was able to like experiment and play with this because there are so many like possibilities for these little blocks. I'm excited for it.
How many, you say plastic bags, like plastic shopping bags, how many did you have to shove into the small area in order to get that larger dense of a product at the end?
Yeah, so they both took about a dozen plastic bags. So I just started with one, melted a little bit, and kept on adding more and more plastic bags to it until I had a good mass that I was able to shove into with heat safe gloves and pliers into a mold.
So
yeah.
did you put the mold and then you put a heat gun on to heat it? Is that what you use the mold, and after you shove the plastic in, is that how you work the process?
I actually used the mold afterwards. So I placed a plastic bag down on a metal tray, or one of my work tables is like covered in rubber. And I pointed the heat gun at it and just waited until it shrunk up a little bit and worked around the bag. And I kept adding more and more bags to this non-stick heat-safe surface. And then I picked up the lump, the melted lump, which is still kind of tacky and pliable. And then I shoved that into a parchment-lined mold. And that's how I got it in there. But yeah, just one by one. And now I have about 24 less plastic bags, and they're this size.
Where did you get the mold?
My husband made it. Yeah, he gave me a little mold, and yeah, it was a good little block shaped, super simple kind of pine box that we just had from spare lumber. So I'm thrilled. Like, I think I'm gonna make this into a pendant, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very pretty. It kind of looks, it has like that shibori dye effect.
Yeah.
The denim colors.
Yeah. It'd be cool to try out different colors and things like that too. I now feel much more of a wholesome human being after figuring out how to make a cube. So, Christopher, what do you have?
Well, I decided to make blocks today, and I had never made a particular kind of block, which was sugar cubes. So I've got a lot of photos. I don't know if you'll be able to see them very well. I took raw white sugar and added a little bit of confectioner's sugar, which has cornstarch in it, and just a little bit of water, mixed it all up, and then actually, let me rephrase that. Because I wanted to be a little bit craftier, instead of using water, I used pomegranate juice. I wanted to try dyeing the sugar as I made it. So I used pomegranate juice, mixed it all up, put it in the oven for an hour, and you score it first so that when it comes out, it easily breaks apart into sugar cubes. I also did this with lemon juice and lemon zest. That was a total failure. After an hour and 15 minutes, it was still this lemony ooze. The scoring totally failed, and it tasted great, but it was absolutely not sugar cubes. So this is a lot of fun. I'd never made sugar cubes before. I got to also listen to some of my favorite sugar cubes hits while I made this. And I'd like to try experimenting with other juices and maybe even Kahlua or something like that, or coffee, just to see what it would be like. Probably wouldn't change the flavor that much, but it'd be fun to try. So this is fun to make, and I got to try something new.
And you get to enjoy and eat it too.
You know, Aurora, the funny thing is I don't like sweet things very much. So why would I make sugar cubes?
Bring it back to work and pass it on to everybody.
That's right.
Give them to like a horse at a neighboring farm. They
Well,
like
one of the videos I watched was all about making sugar cubes for horses.
perfect. Oh my goodness. I don't know, the lemon one would be really cool with like in tea. Because have you ever seen those little honey sticks, the honey stirs like that are
Yeah,
crystal?
the crystal one, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of tea when you said the pomegranate one.
Mhm.
Right. It doesn't taste that good, these sugar cubes with pomegranate. I don't know why. The lemon was just exploding with lemon flavor, but would not solidify for some reason. And I put the same amount of juice in each of them, so I don't know what I did wrong. Or right.
There you go. Is the lemon one salvageable at all? Can you make a caramel out of it or something?
Well, it's ant food right now, so.
Well, thank you for that, Christopher.
Sure.
Aurora Blocks, what did you come up with this week?
Well, it's kind of interesting to see everybody's different. Amanda used block, and you make block, and Christopher make block. And actually, when you say block, I thought about block. And I thought, okay, I'm thinking more like a building blocks because it's a block. And I thought, what could I make with the blocks? And so I look at my grandkids stash and to see, you know, they have all kinds of building blocks, you know, the kids play with. And also I cut some to give me variety. So with that, I have made, the first one I made is actually, you recognize this guy. So I glue the blocks together, which is the pumpkin for Halloween. And then I thought, oh, I'd be trying a little more creative. I made an owl out of the shape of the two type of block with the Legos attached as the eye. And then I used the wood burners to burn the patterns on that. And then I did one also, like Amanda said, I thought about Lego too, and I used a little Lego pieces to add on to the block because I thought they are block too to create a cat. And my last one, I have decided to do a combination of both. So this is my owl that I did the Lego legs and a pattern and the eyes and paint the wood and designed it. So I thought this is what I think of block. And also I think Nicole does a robot block that she does.
Yeah, little robots.
Yeah, so that kind of gave me some idea, and I thought I'd like to build these blocks out of it, using the unique shape to make into something that I could use. That kind of nice little piece, and you know, decorations or just fun to look at, and it's fun to design too. Just trying to piece which block works well with which other one, shapes and colors, and work with that.
Wow. What did you use to put the pieces together?
I use tacky glue.
Oh.
So I tacky glue the pieces, and that works well together.
On your last, on your last owl, how did you decorate the face around the eyes?
I use the Sharpie to paint it. And then this one is actually another small block that I painted. I glued it on. And then I use solder iron to decorate the wood, which is I thought I had. And then I glued the 2-piece of Lego for the feet.
Wow.
That is just adorable.
It
That's
really
so,
is.
yeah, I love it. Such a
I love
character.
the variation of like texture and the materials you use, and then all the little details you added. It's really, really cute. Those are great. And I love that you thought of Legos too, but it's completely different than what my brain was thinking about. Because as a printmaker, I was like, oh, I'm printing with Legos.
Yeah, I just thought, oh yeah, it's a Lego, but then they're so tiny. But then I thought building block was my first choice, so I just kind of play with it as I go. So that's how you could see the real simple one in the beginning, and then how intricate at the end the process went through. So.
Gosh, those are so cool and cute, and it's like they want to tell a story. I want to know what adventures they go on. They just look like they get up to things.
Yeah. Well, I thought also it's nice too, because like sometimes, kids outgrew their building blocks, and you want to find some way to recycle, repurpose it. And so I thought that would be a good way to do it, to create some small piece of something to sit on your desk or at work or something.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Wow. Thank you for that, Aurora. That's just really charming and whimsical. I love it. Heidi, hello.
Hi. I'm back.
Yay. It's an exciting
Okay. Yeah. So I jumped on joining this program sometime over the weekend, and then I was like, oh, I don't, so anyway, I wasn't really sure what to do, and I was thinking, walk around the block. Should I do something like, I don't know. So I went on a walk to help me think. And then I was thinking about, using blocks of time, because there's, I like to work on these kind of Zentangle type drawings. Mm-hmm. And I always think I'm going to block out a portion of my day and like play with this kind of thing, because ideally you don't spend a lot of time on them. They're just kind of doodles and that kind of thing. So I was like, well, maybe I can just dedicate, blocks of time, this and that. I don't know. Somehow my mind leapt to ikebana vases, which is like a Japanese flower arranging technique, but there's also specific vases, so they will hold, a single flower or, a minimalist flower display. So I went and got a block. I went very literal, and with a drill bit, I didn't have a big enough drill bit, so it took a long time to drill out a hole in the block to be able to put what's called a flower frog. So it's like this little disc that has spikes, and you can put the flower on it. And so then I made this vase. Oh. And I did decorate it with some wood burning. I thought, I'm going to use my meditative drawing doodles, as the design on the block surfaces, but I'm really not that good with a wood burning tool. So I just did something a little more abstract, kind of like a water ripple. And so there you have it. I stained it, and so I made a little vase. There you go.
So you just drew the center and then put the plants in like a hollow piece, or did you actually?
Yeah, you'll see in the photo, I have a photo with the flower not in here. It has water in it. Let me see. I dump out the water. So you can see this metal piece. That's the pins that you stick the flowers onto, or your whatever you're thing. And so in here, I had drilled a hole, so it goes about, about an inch deep. So, and then I also burned it with the wood burner to try, and I thought if I cauterized the wood, it would help make it waterproof. I don't know. Okay. Because I don't think that the wood stain that I have is really that waterproof. It may have helped. So, but anyway, so then it just kind of goes right in there.
Oh, yeah.
So Heidi, the grain design on the outside, is that the natural design, or is that what you used?
That's from the wood burning tool. So that's what I just did with one of the wood burning tips. So.
Wow, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It looked like
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Well,
I'm sorry, what?
it's looked like a part of the wood grains that naturally looked like the way you had it designed. Looked like
Yeah. Yeah, I was pleased with how it turned out. You know, you're always unsure until the end, kind of. So,
Really like that because you could have just stained the block and been done, or put paint on it or something. But I like that the fact that you did use the wood burner. It really adds that level of contrast and detail. It kind of fancies it up a little bit. You know, it looks like a cute little centerpiece you would have somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would love to make more of these. I also have like this shape of wood, which I was either going to drill into the top or somehow, or even lay it flat. So I'm like, yeah, this is going to be, I don't know. I want to make more of these. Also, just to play. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they would be really cool if you made some sort of shapes that connected together as a wall hanging, and then you could put plants in them. You could have some sort of like a 3D block thing in a couple different sizes. Flowers. I see it all now.
Yeah.
Making it look great.
Send me your drawings. Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The contrast between the geometric sort of block shape and then the flowers kind of that are spraying out is just, it's really stunning to me. I love that idea of angles and something really geometric versus a really organic type of shape. And yeah, it's really beautiful. And
Thank you.
I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but Shu Sugiban is the Japanese sort of wood burning technique where you can actually waterproof and like protect the wood from the elements. Like you use it on siding and roof tiles and things like that. So yeah, it also has to do with charring the wood to protect the interior of it, which is.
Yeah, it seemed like that came from somewhere. I'm going to have to look that up or send if you have, you know, yeah, I want to look into that more. That sounds exciting.
So what are you going to be putting in the vases in the winter? I have to ask.
I don't know because we do have 2 cats, so it's not very easy to keep anything like this around. So, but who knows? You can always buy flowers, but I could also just use dried plants. I think would look just as nice. You know, sticking them on the flower frog with some kind of different design. So I might just do something with that. Yeah.
That's so great. Thank you so much for showing that off to us. It's so pretty. I was wondering when you sent me a message and you said I have to go cut a fresh flower for my project. I was like, ooh, mystery and intrigue.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you guys, thank you as always for all of your takes on the theme. It's so cool. Sugar cubes, block printing, little robots, and flower vases. Oh my gosh. I love it. It's great fun for me, as always, to see your interpretations. So thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and with that, next week's theme is messes. So I'm sure we have plenty of those as people who constantly wipe their paintbrushes on whatever piece of paper is at hand. And let's see what happens. Thank you.